Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome on into another very exciting episode. Because I'm joined by the one who played Star Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy video game, Jon Mclaren. Thank you so much for joining and taking time.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
This is so cool. I ever since when the game was announced, it's back in 2021 when the game was about to come out, and I was a little bit concerned about the game, and when I got to play it, when I finished it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I enjoyed Star Lord so much, and it's like I enjoyed every single character so much. I felt like these characters were for me at least, were so much greater than the movies. At least for me, I really enjoyed it. But it's been one full year for the game. Like now the game has 8 million players in total. Last I checked. So what do you feel about the game? First of all, one full year, and now so many people played it.
It's yeah, man, it's almost hard to fathom that many people have played the
Yeah,
game. Like 8 million is that's a lot of people worldwide, which is insane to me. And I mean we knew kind of coming into release, or we kind of felt anyways that we had a bit of an uphill battle just because of, perceptions before the game
yeah,
came out and stuff like that. People were a little bit unsure about it, but I think thankfully, due to just the nature of people just pouring their heart and soul into this game, and having a really strong foundational story, hats off to the entire creative team at Eidos, and the narrative director Mary DeMarle and her team, what they did with the story. And I mean, they knocked it out of the park, and they wrote a beautiful story that I think really connected with a lot of people. And I think that's ultimately why people love the game so much. Aside from the gameplay was solid, graphically it was incredible. The animation team did such a good job. Shout out just everybody on the team, just gave 150% and put their heart and soul, us included. And
100%.
I'm so grateful that it resonated with people so well, and people really enjoyed it. And thank you for whoever has played the game.
I That's awesome because a lot of people, again, as I said, like there's a lot of people had questions, they were not sure, but once few people played it, they were sort of recommending to other people like, hey, you actually have to play this. This is actually pretty good. And like I tried to tell as many people as I could, and when they played it, they were like blown away how good this game was. And I'm like, yeah, this game is so good. And I'm like, ever since that day, I've been waiting for like maybe there's a second game, and I would love to see more of the Misfits. Do you think that that could happen, like a second game, a sequel?
I have no idea. Unfortunately, that's not something that we are really privy to. They don't. We kind of go in, we do our job, and then they kind of cut us off. And I mean, we're still in touch with people, but on that side of things, the business side of things, that's just not something that we're privy to. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm here if they ever approach us. I would love to jump back into Star Lord and work with that team again, because there's a lot of really incredible people at Eidos, and it would be an honor to do it again. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wish there was a way, but I mean, I guess
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see what happens. But
Yep.
it's cool because I know you have like you've been streaming on Twitch and playing so many video games. I The last time I saw you playing High on Life, and I think it's so cool that you've been sharing these games. But do you have like a favorite game that, or maybe one game that you like the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably I've got a few franchises that are up there for probably my favorite of all time, but it probably hands down, I mean, my easily number one of all time is Legend of Zelda. I've
Yeah.
played them all. I've played them all front to back, each and every one of them. It's a series I grew up with. I mean, Breath of the Wild was one of the greatest games of all time in
Of
my
course.
in my opinion. Well, a lot of people's opinions.
That's
Can't wait
true.
for Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is going to be. I hope it surpasses everything that Breath of the Wild did and more. But Legend of Zelda's up there. Um, Last of Us, God of War, any Mario game, Uncharted. I like a lot of Halo is another big one. I played a lot of Halo in my day as well. I like. I used to be really hardcore into shooters.
Ooh.
I still play them from time to time, not not as competitively as I used to. And I don't even want to say competitive, because if I stepped into any competitive shooter online match, I'd get dusted real quick. But platformers, anything that's story driven is always up my alley. And what was another game I played on stream? Tunic.
Oh
If you
yeah,
guys haven't played Tunic, check Tunic out. It is a kind of a spiritual nod to Zelda
yeah,
roguelikes. It's don't let the cute graphics fool you. It will destroy you
yeah. It's
in
very
the best
hard.
of ways. Oh, it's so good. It's so
It's
good. But
good. It's yeah. It destroys you. It's not cute.
yeah, but I've been a lifelong gamer since I was a kid. I mean, my first system was the original NES. Um, and what was awesome with Guardians is that streaming and Twitch and that kind of that community and that atmosphere was always, I always knew about it. I'd never really considered it until I got involved with Guardians, and I it just kind of, and at that time, we were in kind of the heat of COVID, and I was like, this would be a good time, because I got a lot of time, as many people did during COVID. This would be a good time to maybe take a look at it. And, so I ramped up during COVID, probably 6 months before the game dropped. Got the equipment, got the gear, the microphones, the capture cards, all that fun stuff. And I started streaming, and it's so much fun. And we've built a really incredible community that we call the Rough Cut Collective. That's kind of our jam. If you look at the logo is based off my dog, which I'm not. He's pacing right now. I'm not sure if you can hear him walking around in the background. I apologize if you can, but it's kind of a play on words, rough, RUFF. But a lot of really good people, and I'm really fortunate to have been able to build this amazing community of people that just love to come out, hang out, watch games, and really help each other through the good and the bad. So
Yeah.
very, very blessed.
I love being there. I whenever I get the time, and if I have the time, because time zones for me is working really great when I want to watch something. So whenever I try get to be there, it's so fun to watch you play games. The community is awesome. So if you guys haven't
Dude,
actually,
thank you so much for hanging out, man. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
I enjoy it a lot because whenever you're live and I'm like, oh, let's check it out. I gotta check it out, and it's so fun to communicate with people. It's really fun. So if you
Thank
guys
you.
haven't checked it out, I think you should definitely. It's so fun, especially when you get there and he calls everybody legend. It's so amazing. So I just
Legend.
that right there just fills your heart with like,
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's just my name, Jon Mclaren IRL on Twitch. I'm Jon Mclaren, or Jon Mclaren IRL on all things, pretty much. So love to have you.
hell yeah. Well, jumping back to Guardians of the Galaxy, I know Star
Yeah.
Lord is a character that a lot of people love from the Marvel universe. Was there ever a pressure when you were working on it? Was there ever a pressure that okay, I have to maybe be as good, or maybe try to fill the shoes, or was it like okay, I can fill the role as my own?
It was terrifying. No, I mean, when we first found out that we got it, it was, there's that immediate moment of excitement, because it's not every day that you get to jump into, a Marvel franchise and be such an iconic character. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I first found out, I cried. I was so excited. And then, yeah, I mean, part of you, it sets in, and you're like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
this is big. I can't mess this up. And like, I mean, yeah, I mean, we've all come up with MCU over the past, what, 15, 20 years. I don't
20,
know. when
yeah,
when
I
did the
guess.
first,
Well, the first one,
like,
X-Men, that was way back. I think it's probably 20 years, I guess so. Because yeah,
it's pretty, yeah, it's
it's
got to be
pretty long.
close. I mean, I don't think the original X-Men was part of the, I
MCU,
guess,
no.
MCU canon as we
Yeah,
know it now. But
no.
yeah, I mean, I've grown up like many of us, you know, reading some of the comics. I grew up watching like X-Men animated series in the
Oh,
90s. That was like, oh, that was my
that was
jam,
beautiful.
dude. It was so good. For those of you who know, and they're re-releasing it. But I grew up with all this stuff. And so, with that, and then with the MCU being as big as it is, and incredible as it is, yeah, I mean, there's an inherent amount of, I guess, a little bit of pressure. But I think that just comes from my love for Marvel, even DC, all things comics and superhero related stuff that I grew up with. It just comes from that love and wanting to do the characters justice. And yeah, of course, you're going to be compared to the MCU counterparts, and that's natural. But what was really nice is that after signing on from day one, the entire team, our creative director, JF, and cinematic director, Daryl Purdy, they were very adamant from day one that they wanted us to make these our own. They wanted these to be unique characters in our own unique video game universe, if you will. And Marvel was very adamant on saying, we do not want this to be the MCU. We don't want it to be like it. We want it to be its own thing that stands alone in its own universe. So essentially, we're given the keys, and they unlock the kingdom, and they're have fun with it. And thankfully, we had an incredible team behind us to steer us in the right direction. And I think it turned out wonderfully. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I think it turned out wonderfully. I loved there's so many
thank you.
moments, especially when there was like the emotional moments of Star Lord at the very end of the game with Nikki. I was like, wow, I cannot believe we have gone this far. It's like I never expected to have like emotional connection there. And I was like, I was getting emotional. I was like, how is this happening? How am I getting emotional? What is this? So it was so cool to see that so many different sides of these characters. Even though you guys are funny, you guys talk a lot and you guys are funny, and then you have these emotional insane scenes. I'm like, wow, this game is everything that I wanted to see in a video game, especially in a
Yeah.
superhero game.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament again. And I got to shout out Mary DeMarle, the senior narrative director of the game, and her entire team. Like, they did such an incredible job of crafting a down to earth, relatable story somehow in this space epic that has like llamas, like you
Like
know,
llamas.
like running around, and giant gods, but like they did such a good job of grounding the story in themes that we can all relate to, themes of loss and grief and family. And that's what I love the most about our game, is that you know unlike a film, we had so much time to kind of dive into each character's backstory. And each one of the guardians are all dealing with some sort of loss of family. Drax with his family, Groot with his homeworld, Rocket with Lila, Gamora with her sister, and Star Lord, of course, with his mother, which many people already know, but like what a lot of people hadn't really been too exposed to, unless you had read Guardians from the early days in the comics, is like the backstories of the other characters. And by touching upon those common themes that we all share, again, of grief, lost family, finding new family, that those are the kinds of things that really resonate with people, because they're real human emotions, and they're things that we can all relate to. And again, hats off, or mask off for Star-Lord, mask off to Mary and her team for just creating such an incredible story that hits, as you said, it hits those highs where
Yeah.
we're just off the wall, insane, hilarious, or just ripping into each other. But then having moments where me myself, when I played it on stream, was brought to tears.
Yeah.
And I'm in the game. I knew these scenes were coming, and it was bringing me to tears. And it's just a testament to the story, to the animation team, to just everything, the whole team.
That's awesome. That's so
I'm
cool.
still in awe, even a year later.
I am always in awe. I'm like, wow, this was such a well done game, and I'm so happy that I got to play. I'm so happy that a lot of people are getting to play now. It's so incredible. But if you had a chance to, or if you were casted in the MCU, which hero or villain would you like to play?
Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I mean, that will never happen because there's too many amazing people in this. Steve is hands down,
Yeah.
he is Wolverine. Like, that's nobody's gonna top that. But I mean, in the multiverse of video games
Yeah.
and the world, Wolverine. Because I grew up, I'm Canadian as well.
Yeah.
I grew up watching X-Men. That's one of my favorite Marvel properties, and I've always loved Wolverine, but who else would be cool? I always like Gambit. I was like
Oh,
Gambit was cool. He's a cool character.
yeah.
A lot of people think I'd be perfect for Cyclops. I'd
Oh,
take Cyclops.
that can happen too. I would love to see
And
that
that's just
actually.
within the X-Men universe. There's so many incredible characters that would be amazing to play,
Yeah,
both protagonists and antagonists.
I can actually see that you can be a very good Wolverine. To be honest, I love the character Wolverine so much, and
Oh, thank you.
I actually have watched the movies first. I didn't read the comics. I've seen the animated X-Men series, but I've never seen. I only got to love a lot more because of the Wolverine movies that came out, with the X-Men movies that came
Yeah,
out with Hugh Jackman, and I'm like, well, if
yeah.
you're recasting again, I think Jon Mclaren would be a great Wolverine. I would love to see that. I would
Wait,
love to please.
are you talking cinematic universe? Or are you talking?
You know what? Actually, both would be great. Cinematic and video game. Just take
Dude,
him.
I gotta hit the gym hard if that's gonna happen. I don't even want that, man. People, you know, Hugh Jackman is the quintessential Wolverine in the cinematic universe. Steve is the quintessential universe, like Wolverine in the comic video game universe, TV. I think
Yeah.
I would get straight up attacked
Hey, you never know. Maybe,
if that
maybe,
role is ever put into other people's hands.
maybe there will be a Wolverine. Maybe you will be getting a like a parallel universe, alternate universe thing. I would love to see that.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Only when they're ready to pass the torch.
That's true. But okay, let's go back to Star Lord a little bit. But when you got to play the role, how was there a kind of a process to get into the character of Star Lord? Did you have any process, or was like you saw the script, you just went with it?
Yeah, I mean, I approach the character like I would any other character. You do a bunch of you do your homework, you dig into their backstory, and luckily, again, I know I keep singing the praises of the narrative team, but luckily, when we signed on, they had essentially a Guardians called the Guardians Bible, if you will.
Wow.
Um, many I don't even know how many pages it was. Many pages. A Bible full of information on the backstories of each character, the world, where everybody's coming from, and as they saw it. I mean, in their video game universe, as they saw it, their characters. So luckily, they gave us that massive Bible, which was a huge help. And then, in terms of actual preparation, I mean, I treated it like any other project. You sit down, you go through the script multiple times. Although it's funny in video games because a lot of times in video games they don't have a definitive script from day one. It's they build the games in vertical slices or chunks, and so a lot of the writing is happening at the same time as you're in their filming. They're writing the next chunk that they want to shoot and implement into the game. But
Yeah.
you sit down and I break out my million different highlighters and make my character notes and scribble all over the script and do my thing. But no, the got G Bible, so to speak, was a huge help in diving into the characters. And I truthfully ignored everything else. I ignored everything else from the comics and from the MCU because I didn't want it to bleed into what I was doing with the game, because they were very, very adamant on making this our own version. So
Yeah. That's great. Lovely. I'm happy that you got to do it in the best way that you can. But you know,
thank you.
when I was playing the game, there was one thing that kept on happening, and that was this fridge kept on opening. So do you have any answer of who kept on opening that fridge that we had to keep on closing?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm just Star Lord.
Knew it. Should have been. I
I
knew
was
it.
probably, it was probably, you know what? I'm gonna go with Drax.
Drax
Drax is
did
a
it.
big guy. I can only imagine his workout and food regimen is pretty heavy. So
Yeah.
I imagine Drax probably got to be in the fridge quite a bit, but it was Star Lord.
I can.
It's funny. I don't think it made it into the game in any fashion, but one day we were on set and we were joking about the fridge gag, and I said to Daryl Purdy, our director, our cinematic director, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we just mocapped, um, you know, fridge animations and because we did have to mocap some of them, just opening and closing the fridge. But
Yeah.
during that, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if this? And he's like, what? I'm like, watch this. And I just kind of walked up to the where the fridge would have been in the
Yeah.
room, and I walked up and I was just like, opened it and ran away and left the fridge open. And
Oh my God.
yeah, and then we all took turns doing like fridge gags of opening the fridge and leaving it open. But I don't think it made it into the final game. But
So it was everybody
it's
who did
pretty.
it.
Yeah, but
Everybody.
nobody wants to admit to it. I'll admit to it. It was me. But no, you know what? I think it was Star Lord because if you go into the cutscenes when he was a child
Hmm.
and you go into the basement and you look at that fridge, it's open. So I think Star Lord's got a bad habit of not fully closing the fridge.
Yeah, since childhood, he was like, he didn't
Yeah.
learn that. He didn't learn to close the
Or the
fridge.
damn thing's broken and Rocket needs to get on top of it. Fix that thing, man.
Yeah, I will in the end blame Rocket. Yeah, Rocket needs to
Yeah.
fix it. Well, speaking of Rocket, there's one more thing that I kept, happened. I kept on doing it. Is if you had the option to throw Rocket or something else, is it always throw Rocket or would you?
It's there's only one option in that scene, and that's throw Rocket every damn time. Sorry, Alex.
You gotta go. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Uh,
You have to
his
fly.
his reactions when you throw him are so good. He's such a perfect Rocket.
Oh man, I
Oh
loved it.
man.
So funny to when he lands all the way over there. All the amount of oh my god, so fun to listen to that banter.
Yeah.
Um, but going back to Star Lord, what do you think Star Lord? According to Star Lord, who does he think or who does he likes the most in the team?
Oh man. Who does he like the most? Star Lord personally?
Yeah,
That is so hard. That is so hard. Maybe Groot, because Groot can't really talk back to him, or he doesn't understand him if he does.
yeah. Can say anything to him, I guess.
uh,
Damn it, I feel bad for Groot.
yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Well, I'll take that. Groot is actually a very lovable
I
guy.
what I love though, honestly, from in my opinion, not Star Lords, but what I do love is that going back to those themes of grief and loss. So I found it very interesting, and I was very fortunate that I got to share as an actor playing Star Lord. I got to share intimate scenes with each and every Guardian pertaining to what they were going through, and that was something that I was very blessed because you don't always get to do that with all the every character that you play. But I found it very interesting that they were all going through similar but different scenarios, and
Yeah.
and on a personal note, uh, you know, I think he kind of related to them all in that way, and that's one of the things that I love most about the story and about playing Star Lord in this game is that you got to connect with each of the main characters throughout the game in various different ways. Um, One that always pops out, and it's a scene that you might even completely miss, is the scene with Drax in Nowhere at the Rift. I don't know if you got to see that or not when he's talking about what happens after death,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
kind of heaven and all that kind of thing, and his losing his wife and Star Lord losing his mother, and it's just beautiful. It's beautifully written, and there's just some really beautiful moments that I was very fortunate to experience, not only with the main Guardians, but the supporting cast as well, like Nikki, like the scene with Nikki you're
Yeah.
talking about, or there's a scene with with Carell, where he finally, figures out that she's passed. Sorry, spoiler. If
Yeah.
you haven't, it's. I think we're safe. It's
Yes,
been
I
out
think
for
you're
over a
safe.
year
Yeah.
now, so
Like you
I think
guys
we're safe. I
should
think we're
have played
safe.
the
But
game, goddamn.
yeah, it was just that was one of my favorite parts about playing Star Lord is being able to share those moments with all of the main characters in the game, which was incredible.
That's amazing. Do you think that those moments would be like kind of your favorite moments from the game, or do you have anything else as like kind of your favorite moment?
I mean, there's tons. Again, Drax at the Rift. The scene with Nikki was really powerful. There's multiple scenes with Nikki that were really powerful. Oh, it's tough. There's so much, man. Like these are the emotional scenes. That scene with Carell. I always love that scene. There's another scene with Carell in the office where, again, you might have missed it if you don't choose the right paths and such. But
Mm-hmm.
Star Lord, picks up a little Chewie action figure from Star Wars,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I gotta. Let me ask Chewie here." And he's like, "Grrr," and I do the thing, and that was completely unplanned, and I just did it. We didn't even think we were going to be allowed to do it because it's Star Wars, and
Yeah.
the fact that they kept it in the game, I love. It's really hard though because there's so many. That's on the emotional side, which is easy to remember. But there were so many moments throughout shooting where it's just we're just bantering nonstop the entire game, and all of the hilarious jokes that happen are almost impossible to pick one
Oh
because
yeah.
every day we were on set, we were on the brink of tears laughing. It was so much fun
I have
to
seen that.
shoot.
I've seen that gag reel, a blooper reel. I think you can say like when you guys are talking about doing these scenes, and and Rocket had so many insults, like so many dark insults, that you guys are
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh gosh, laughing at. They're like, what
Yeah,
is he saying?
if
Jesus.
you'll allow me, I got to shout out Simon Habib. He put one of those blooper reels together. He literally was taking footage from after every day, and he stitched them together into these incredible blooper reels. And shout out to Simon. He was the lead facial animator on the game, and he's a good friend of mine now. And he's also, again, going back to Twitch, he's one of the mods on my Twitch. But shout out to Simon. Thank you for putting those together because I'll have that for life, and it's a lot of fun to go back to and watch. It's
Yeah,
really neat.
it's a lot of fun. I laugh every single time. I have no idea how you guys kept a straight face and did all these scenes, because I don't know how, if I would have been chosen, I would be laughing all the time, and they will be like, just get out, just, you're fired.
Oh, like there's a scene where Alex and I we're under hypnosis from Cosmo, and we
Mm.
start barking like dogs, and like
Jesus
it might look like we got through it without laughing, but it's harder to. We were probably 9 takes out of 10 laughing our asses off. They're like, oh, they're not laughing in that one. Okay, use that one.
Oh my god, that was such a hilarious scene. I'm like, why are they barking now? So I love that. I love those moments. But
So good.
but you've been aside from acting in video games, you've been acting in movies, and you got so many amazing projects. I think one of them was Sappy Holidays that you got to
Yep.
be a part of. I unfortunately couldn't see it because I don't know where to see it. Unfortunately, here I don't know where it kind of gets streamed or anything, but I would definitely love to watch that. The trailer looked amazing. So
Yeah, I
congratulations to that
think
one,
that
actually.
one was I think that one was I think that one you can watch on Amazon if you through Amazon if you have a
The
I want to
Prime
say a super
subscription.
channel subscription. Um Either that or Up TV.
Yeah, I think I'll figure it out, because over here things get different, and it's very hard to sometimes watch movies and TV shows, which is so horrible, because sometimes I've some series is getting out in some particular streaming platform. When I search it here, it's not there, so
Yeah.
it gets just distributed somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to figure that out. But I'll definitely figure that
And
out, because yeah,
different distribution
different
platforms.
distribution
Excuse me, in
platforms.
different countries and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
It
So
gets tricky, yeah.
yeah,
100%.
but yeah, I wanted to watch it. It looked very fun. So congratulations
Oh,
on
thank
that.
you, man.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So my question over here is like, what would you like acting in video games versus acting in movies? What do you think is like? maybe more influential, or do you think like acting in both these mediums are like the same in some ways, or do you have like any different challenges in either of these mediums?
Different challenges for sure. I mean, I wouldn't put one above the other. I think they're just different mediums that require different technique per se. Unlike film, when you're shooting a video game, if there's motion capture involved, there's no traditional cameras in the sense there are cameras, but they're infrared cameras, which
Yeah.
are picking up uh, basically light bouncing all the little. You've seen the motion capture suits, all the
Yeah.
little million balls that you have to wear and stuff like that. But um, it's different in the sense that those cameras don't move. So when
Mm.
you're filming for traditional TV or a film, there's a lot of stopping and starting because you have to move the camera to different angles. With motion capture, there's none of that. It's a lot like theater in that sense, in
Yeah.
which there's no stopping. You can literally go the entire day without having to change, camera, lighting, all of those things that go into making a TV uh, or a film. Those don't really exist in a way.
Yeah.
There's different technical challenges, but those things don't exist. So it's kind of a blending of film and theater in a way. So it's just different. Um, there's um, I'd say we were going through a lot more in one day, which is more indicative of like a theater like experience. Whereas in film TV, depending on the set, you're going through only a subset of pages a day, a much smaller amount of pages a day, but there's just a lot more moving around, a lot more moving pieces and wardrobe changes and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But um, certainly different challenges. Either way you slice it, I wouldn't say I would love one more than the other. I have a passion for acting as a whole, so I'm always grateful anytime I get to be on any set, whether it be film, TV, video games. But it was real nice, and I will say it was a dream come true to be a part of Guardians, and that's just by proxy of growing up loving comics, the animated TV shows, and being a lifelong gamer. Like
Yeah.
it's a little trippy to you know fire up a game for the first time and then, oh, that's my voice. This is weird.
Yeah, it must be weird because it's weird to listen to my own voice. So I'm like, it's crazy to if somebody's in the game this long and hearing your own voice so long. It's like it's first time I cannot
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than I'm sure, you shoot these with people and then you listen to them back, whether it be, via audio podcast or YouTube
Yeah.
video or wherever it ends up going. It's weird, and I'm sure you get it too. You're probably like
I skip my
watching
part.
yourself or listening, and you're like, oh, I don't want to know.
No. Yeah, usually when I'm editing
No.
it, I would skip my part and just like listen to the thing that people
Yeah.
the ones
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll skip the rest of
Yeah.
mine. It's so hard.
Yeah. I'm the same way, man. I don't necessarily like listening or watching myself, but
Well, I think I wanna. There's three questions from the community that people wanted to ask. You
oh, sure.
some of the questions. One of them is from Inner Toast. Uh, he asked about like to talk about the versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy, comparing it to MCU. But his other question was, what is your favorite change or difference from the MCU version to this game, if you have any?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think just in terms of Star-Lord himself or in terms of the game as a whole. I
I
mean,
think it's this is
I
both.
think
Yeah.
yeah, I think this applies, and I touched a bit on it a little bit already, but I think there's a lot more. I don't want to say range. I mean, there is a great range. There's some really great comedic moments, which I think people are accustomed to in terms of Guardians of the Galaxy, because they in a lot of ways ushered in that kind of comedic side, I think, in the MCU.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not the only franchise to do it, but They're what when they do it really, really well. I mean, James Gunn and that entire team is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we did a really good job at that as well. But where I think we also did a really great job of um, hitting those, I don't want to say lows, but those emotional tones as well.
Mm.
They really leaned into that, and what was amazing, again, I touched on it earlier, is that you get to see more of that from each and every character. A lot of people know that Star Lord lost his mother.
Yeah.
That reigns true in our game as well. However, it was in a different way or for a different reason, but um, in our universe, you really get to dive into the other characters' backstories through Star Lord, and that's what I really really loved about this game. Is again, you get to know Drax better, you get to know Gamora, Groot, Rocket a little bit better. Um, so that's what I really love about our game, and that's one of my favorite things about our game. And on that note, I'm excited to see what happens in MCU Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Yes.
because it looks like they're gonna dive into some of those storylines a little bit more as well, which is
I know. I
super
was
exciting.
I saw the rocket, the small rocket, or the probably childhood part.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, they're going there. I know the
yeah.
story.
I
Like,
I can't wait, man. There's gonna be so many tears.
it's gonna
There's
be
gonna be
so many
so
tears. I
I want to
can't wait.
cry hard,
Man, I cannot wait for that.
and
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Me too. Well, Eric Buckner has had a question about did you ever ask about what's the difference between the game Star Lord and the MCU Star Lord, and like how does this game Star Lord stands out or it's different? Did you ever ask about that to the director?
I didn't I didn't really ask directly per se, but I mean, the thought was certainly there. I mean, do you want any likenesses to the MCU? Was like one of my first thoughts. I'm like, okay, well, it's like as early as when I first got the audition script, when I first auditioned for the project, I was like, okay, well, do I make the choice to, make this similar to the MCU version, or do I just have fun with it and infuse my own, personality into it? And I did, and I think it obviously worked. But
100%.
again, like, so I never directly asked the question. Um, and part of that again was because we were told from day one, before they even let me speak. John, don't say a word. We have something to say. Do not make this the MCU. No, but they were very adamant from the beginning that, they chose us because, we chose to make these characters our own, and that they didn't want it to be, a likeness to the MCU, and they wanted it to be unique. They wanted it to be a unique story, unique characters, a unique world that is separate from, what people have seen already in the films.
That's great. I love that that happened
Yeah.
because then we get to see amazing side of Star Lord and everybody else. So it's very cool. Uh
Thank you.
a Xenopath had a question, and actually this is not him only asking it. A lot of people actually
Xenopath.
yeah,
I
it's pretty
like
cool.
that. Xenopath.
A lot of people actually ask this question. Do you have a favorite song from the soundtrack of the game?
Oh, that's so hard, man.
Everything is
I
so good
hate
in
this.
there.
I hate this question because I love the music. I don't hate
Yeah.
the question. It's a great question, but oh man. I mean, Kickstart My Heart is always really good.
Oh
That's
yeah.
one I always go back to.
So
It's
good.
so it's so hard to choose though, man. The
Yeah.
the the soundtrack to this game is so phenomenal, and I'm so glad that they obviously chose to keep music a massive part of the franchise, because it has been, and it should be, and it
Yeah.
should always be a huge part. And they absolutely knocked it out of the park. If I can, aside from the licensed tracks, I need to shout out. Steve and Johan, who are the creators of the fictional Star Lord band, because
Yes.
that album Flarkin slaps so hard, and it
Yes.
is so good. And oh, what is the name of The Darkness Inside?
Yes. Oh
That
man.
is probably it's not even like as like hardcore rock
Hmm.
or metal as some of the other songs in the album, but I absolutely love it because it speaks to, you know, I think what they're alluding to in that song, "The Darkness Inside," is that voice inside you that tells you that you can't do something,
Yeah.
and you have to ignore it and fight it and just, get it out of here, get it out of your mind,
Yeah.
you know. And that's what the song about to me is just not listening and not succumbing to that inner voice that tells you that you're not good enough or you can't do something or you'll never get there. And I love that because that's something that I've everybody, not just me, everybody at some point in their life, at all stages in your life, you know, is I'm personally really hard on myself. And there's a lot of times where I tell myself, where I'm like, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't become a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to do that. I can't be an actor. I'll never make it." Like, you can, you
Yeah.
can, you can. And that's why I love that song so much. So
Love it. I
I
love
hate that
this.
question because they're all such good songs. I hate that question,
There's no one favorite. We can't pick one. It's
but
very
it's a good
hard.
one.
There's no one good one. There's all good ones. Like it's that's
Yeah.
so good. I love it
Yeah.
so much. When I first actually played it, I was actually uh wanting to put it out on YouTube and stuff, and I saw like the license tracks. I'm like, oh gosh, do I have to play this without songs? And then I was like, you know what? I'm
I
not.
know.
I'm not gonna do it. And I played it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it.
I gotta listen to the soundtrack. I gotta go through that
Yeah.
moment. It's so good.
Yeah.
So fun. But on that note, I would say thank you so much for coming by, for talking about this game. It's such a wonderful game, and you did such a phenomenal job. I love your version of Star Lord so much. I had so much fun with it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you having me here. This is a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun.
And thank you, honestly, thank you, man, for I see you, man. You pop by the streams every now and then to say hi, and I love it, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So
oh no, thank you
I
actually
hope you
for
continue to do so. It's always a pleasure.
thank you for actually doing that. I actually tune into your stream. I tune into Alex stream when I can. It's so fun to see you guys play video games and also be a part of because I didn't know that you were since I got to know that you are playing Star Lord and I was like, he streams, and then I jumped into it straight away. So I was like, so awesome to see that. So I had to.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the support, brother.
Thank you so much for doing that though. But again, thank you so much
Oh, of
for all of
course.
this. This is I cannot wait to see what's next for your future projects. Hopefully Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and maybe some more video games. I would love to see you in other video games as well.
I've got uh I've got some things coming, I will say that, but none of which I am allowed to talk about. So stay tuned.
I tried.
Stay tuned. I'll leave it at that.
I tried to ask, but then what? Damn it! I'm excited. I'm excited nonetheless. When that game comes out, I would love to talk to you about it. It's gonna be super awesome. I cannot wait.
Thank you, brother.